So when it comes to building bigger and better looking arms, variety is key. Variety whether you're sitting, standing, on an incline bench, and as well as different arm and hand positions. And in this video I have 4 exercises with lots of variety to get your biceps and forearms looking bigger and more defined. So let's get started. Now for all of these exercises, we're gonna make sure we keep a tight core or squeeze our stomachs, so that way we have no wasted movement, so that way we have no wasted energy, so that way all the energy that we have for that set can go to those muscles that are being worked, so that way we can do more reps, so that way we can potentially, get more muscle. The first exercise that we have is an incline bench curl, or some call it a spider curl. For this exercise, get in a nice comfortable position first. Keep your feet nice and firm on the ground for stability purposes, and make sure you have your back and neck all in one line. Also keep your arms at your side tucked in, and ideally only the lower half of your arm should be moving. If you do find the upper arm moving, that means you are using momentum, and when it comes to building muscle, using momentum is not the best thing. We want all the stress and strain and tension going to that muscle, so that way that muscle is being worked as much as possible. And if you want those nice looking bicep peaks, make sure you're going through the full range of motion on this exercise by bending your arm as much as possible on the way up and straightening your arm as much as possible on the way down. Next we have some hammer curls. Now for this exercise we're primarily working the forearms as well as a muscle under the biceps called the brachialis. Now for this exercise, make sure you stand nice and tall, keep that core tight as always. Also, we want to ideally only have your lower arm again only moving. Don't be tilting to the side, because when you do tilt to the side when you're doing some hammer curls, that means you're using momentum, and again, momentum is never good when you're trying to build muscle. And you want to have a nice full range of motion, and by that I mean you want to squeeze all the way up, bend your arms as much as possible, and then straighten it all the way back out, so that way that brachialis, the muscle under the biceps, and your forearms is working as much as possible. And the reason why it's also key for good arm development to work out your brachialis, it lies under the biceps. When you work that muscle, that means that muscle gets bigger, which means it pushes out the biceps more, so that way your arms look better and fuller. Now we're going to isolate the forearms with some seated pronated curls, which is just fancy term for curls with your palms facing away from you. Now for this exercise, keep your feet nice and firm and planted on the ground. Make sure you sit up nice and tall. Keep your back and neck all aligned. Try to, as much as possible, have your arms tucked at your side. It is okay, your elbows will flare out a little bit, but make sure it's not too flared out though. You want to make sure you're able to curl as much as possible. And again, with that full range of motion, you want to make sure you squeeze and bend your arms all the way up, and then straighten it all the way back down to have that nice full range of motion, to have that nice full contraction and lengthening of those forearm muscles, so that way your forearms can look nice, big, and defined. Now for the next one, we're gonna stay seated, but this time we're gonna have our palms facing each other, so that way we can do the classic seated bicep curl. Now for this exercise, like the one before it, keep your feet nice and firm, stand tall, keep that core tight. You wanna make sure you have that full nice range of motion by squeezing or bending your arm all the way up and straightening it all the way down as well. And we want to try our best to only have our lower half of the arm working or moving, so that way all the stress and strain is going to our biceps and forearms. And if you're wondering as to why the last 2 exercises were done seated, that's because it takes away our lower half of the body, so that way we can't use our lower half of the body as momentum to lift the weight. Because a lot of times you see cats in the gym, they're doing their upper body exercises standing, but they're using their lower half of their body as momentum. They're shaking and baking and moving, which is not the best way to go about it, because momentum is the enemy again when you're trying to build muscle. And if you're getting value out of this video, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell, and leave a comment down below to let me know what you think of these 4 exercises. And on this channel, we try to empower people at home and nutrition and at the gym with the goal of building muscle. So if you like that, subscribe, turn on that bell, and always remember to make mirrors your canvas, waste your paintbrush, sweat your paint, and mirror drawing always be beautifully unfinished.